start. Are you guys ready? Okay. Our very first performer tonight is a computer programmer from the Deep South, and not the one that thinks science is a bad word. Deep, Deep South. Our performer is from Australia. Please, everyone, welcome Sonia Wilde.
Hello world! Just trying to see where the software engineers in the crowd are. So, my name is Sonia Wilde. I am a software engineer, also known as programmer, developer, code cutter, code monkey, but really it just means I write computer code for a living. Majority of my time has been spent cutting COBOL code for mainframes. Rock. Thank you. I have written Java and I have dabbled in .NET. I'm sorry, mainframe, I did cheat. In the distributed systems world. And I know what you're thinking, right? She doesn't look anything like what Hollywood shows us is a female software geek. I mean, she doesn't have that crazy hair, she doesn't have those funky glasses, thrift store clothing. Yeah, okay, but my office has a window and you can't see my tattoos, okay? So I am the real deal. And I guess you can tell that I have a pretty southern accent. I've been here for 20 years, give or take. The biggest surprise I had when I came is that I actually had to find translations for technical terms in Australia. I did, seriously. It's fucked. We're fucked. You're fucked. And for fuck's sake. Now, HR had a field day every time I was hauled in and had to explain, I'm just thinking Australian. I never see the Russians and the Indians in here when they're speaking in their native language. So now I just practice the internal for fuck's sake, and I know you all know what that looks like. It's the, right? And I'm just practicing doing that so I don't rip off someone's head and spit down their neck. And I'm nice. I don't know why I get a reputation. So I want to talk about distributed systems. They're so exciting. I think that was Mike. Distributed systems is when you group computers together so you can take advantage of the combined CPU, the central processing unit, or their brains, basically. And it's not a bad way to go, because you get to start small and you get to scale up as you need more processing power. There's a lot of tools for distributed systems, and it's kind of like coding on playing Tetris, right? When you code in distributed, it's kind of drag and drop and a lot of nice color schemes. And those tools, right, they prompt you. They just tell you what to put. You start typing and they just finish the rest of the word for you. And you don't have to worry about fat fingering because they're going to correct what you do. I know, it's true, right? And I tell you, I'm pretty sure that a slobbering chimp with autocorrect could code here. Mainframe doesn't do autocorrect. That's where my heart lies, if it's not obvious. So, in years past, mainframes used to fill entire rooms. These days, they're about the size of a side-by-side fridge. And it just holds a CPU in there, and that thing just thinks millions of thoughts per second. So, you time slice your access to the CPU so that everybody can have their share of the mainframe. But coding on the mainframe, it's kind of like playing Zork. Any 80s Commodore 64 fans out there? Yeah, okay. So you know where I'm coming from, right? I'm in a room. I have to ask questions. There's a key. Pick up the key, stick it in the door, open the door, right? You know where I'm going, right? But the mainframe isn't as nice as Zork, because it doesn't let you ask questions. You have to know where you are at all times, and you have to be able to move around. Luckily, I'm like Sherlock with my mind palace. I Zork the shit out of the mainframe. I am that good. So, I have to tell you, all software engineers rock. We really do. Think about a profession where being good at your job as a software engineer means that you get to learn about other industries. So not only am I a software engineer, I know banking, finance, transportation, I know airlines, utilities, telecommunications, government, insurance. I mean, seriously, think about it. I'm fucking dangerous. I could Zork the shit out of nations, right? You don't need Ocean's 11 when you have the wild one. Oh, come on. But as you can tell, I've actually been around the block a little while. I actually got into IT in the 80s. Being a software developer in the 80s actually really rocked. I was out of college for 3 months and I got put on call, which kind of sucked, but I got a pager. You should try being out in the nightclub when the pager goes off and everybody thinks you're a doctor. Okay, fast forward to the 90s and they're all trying to buy their drugs from me because now they think I'm a drug dealer. Not so good. So, cutting code kind of sounds like it might be a bit complicated, but I want to break it down and make it very accessible. There's 3 constructs that we use to capture the logical progression of things that we do. And you wouldn't even realize it, but you do it all the time. We have the best computers up here. I'm going to give you an example. I'm out for a big night. I'm in the bar. First construct, if then else. If he's attractive, say hello. Else, go to the bar and get a wine. Right? Pretty simple. Second construct is a nested if. This is a mutually exclusive. I can only do one thing or the other. If he's attractive, say hello. Else, if I need to pee, go to the ladies. Else, go to the bar and get a red wine. Except, there's some rookie problem there with that logic. Anybody spotted? What happens if he's attractive and I need to pee? Mess. Big mess as I say hello. So, you have to know exactly what you're looking for, what is more important. And trust me, if I've been in the bar long enough, I've broken the seal and I need to pee a lot, so I should check for that first. The last construct, looping. That's where you get to do something over and over again until you reach a decision where you've actually matched on some matching criteria. Loop until he looks attractive. Drink more wine. End loop. Obviously, I'm hoping with enough alcohol, he starts looking like a Highlander in a kilt. I'm not the only one with that fantasy, am I? Maybe I am. Maybe. So I have to tell you, I have to be honest, I learned the constructs at college. I also learned something else, the value of hard work, right? It wasn't until I got out to the real world that I found out that was fucking bullshit. Seriously. Laziness. They should have taught me how important being lazy is. It's a much maligned trait, I'll tell you now, it's very misunderstood. But as a lazy programmer, I make sure that when I write my code, I don't have to go back in there and fix bugs. I make sure that when you ask on FedEx to get the timing to get from point A to point B, that it works and you don't get a horrible error screen. When you go to get an insurance quote, that you actually get a quote and you don't get told to come back later. I mean, that's because I'm fucking lazy. actually doing my boss a favor. She doesn't quite understand that. So, one of the main things I found that helps me being lazy is plagiarism. Yeah. Something else they told us at college, don't do it. But in actual fact, plagiarism is your friend. And that means that you get a piece of code that's already out there working, you gut it from everything that you don't need, you keep in the error coding, you keep in the date utilities, you keep in all the stuff that actually works, so you cut down on the time for testing that stuff, and you just code the stuff that you need to put in there. So, I'll give you an example of plagiarism. Just say you're a cook in a diner, right? And the order for dry wheat toast comes in. Plagiarism is putting your hand in the bread bag, getting bread out, sticking it in the toaster, pressing down on the lever, right? Lever. Orders up. Not plagiarizing is the equivalent of going to Radio Shack, buying the parts to build the toaster, grinding the wheat into flour, and then making your own bread, probably in a wood-fired oven, because I suspect you are like that, before you even get to making the toast. You see what I mean? What a waste of time that is, because it's already available. And in the client-server world, Java and .NET come with toolkits, with all of this stuff written. Fucking hipsters. I did actually learn one thing at college. I learned that 1 kilobyte equals 2 to the power of 10. For you math whizzes, that's 1,024 bytes. 3 years at college, my parents were very proud. 3 years at college, I hear you ask? Well, I was in Australia, drinking age is 18, so I did Kegger 101 in high school. So our degree was only 3 years long. Who remembers Y2K, the Millennium Bug? Yeah, okay, good. Do you actually know what it was all about? Some people do. So for those of you who don't, if you were told that the Earth was going to come to a standstill, it was just going to be horrific. What it was about is the fact that the century, the 2 digits of the century, take up 2 characters. That's 2 bytes. So if you have 1 kilobyte, you can only fit 512 dates worth of centuries in 1 kilobyte. And when businesses started using computers big time, storage was super expensive. 1 kilobyte was anywhere from $10 to $100. So, I mean, who in their right mind is going to pay $100 to store the century portions of dates that you can code for by just slapping on a 19 using code? They saved a lot of storage and a lot of money doing that, but as we all know, most great fuck-ups come from saving money. So, I was working at a bank when I first got out of college, and we just modified the code. If the year is greater than 50, the century is 19. Else, the century is 20. Right? There is a lot of that code still running today. And do you know what that means? I am guaranteed of a job until I die from fixing the fucking date problem or too much red wine. Thank you.